So The Lost World Jurassic Park is essentially just a rehash of the 1912 novel by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, but I'm guessing Michael Crichton used it for inspiration at best, because while the basic premise is the same, the stories themselves couldn't be more different. But both involve humans going to an island inhabited by prehistoric dinosaurs, taking one of them back to the mainland, and shit hits the fan. So I guess we can call it a homage rather than a rip-off. Well, that's what Crichton would say. I mean, the story's hardly new. Anyone remember this guy? However, to anyone who actually read the book would quickly realise that the film is similar in name and spirit only. So we open up on the shores of Isla Sorna, which we will later find out is the eponymous Site B, where some of the 1%ers have been breeding their dinosaurs for the first park. Now, to be fair, these shots of the ocean on the shore do really scream Jurassic Park. So, to its credit, it does get us into the sort of mindset pretty quickly. It's a shame it's all for nothing though, as what follows is incredibly stupid. The scene that follows makes me ask so many questions that already I'm taken out of the film experience. This is a big no-no for any opening or establishing scene. First of all, why is this little cow so calm about what she thinks is just some bird or something? Now, after the events of the first Jurassic Park, which we later find out are the subject of major tabloid news. However, we are only told this, not shown. Some grade A filmmaking there, Stephen. So it should be assumed that everyone knows what a fucking dinosaur looks like at this point. Even in a world without Jurassic Park or the real theme park, how does this kid not know what she's looking at? It's clearly not a bird, it's clearly not a lizard. I mean, look at it, you fucking idiot! It's just an excuse to have her be attacked and to kickstart the plot and make way for one of the worst transition edits ever put to film. Directing! Just 1 second, isn't this place like highly restricted or something? Or maybe that's just the next movie's opening, I don't know, but it should be. What, so none of the Coast Guard spotted this random ship just randomly docking wherever it saw fit? I'm pretty sure you can't just drop anchor at any island you want to without authorization first. And the captain's being pretty irresponsible anyway, letting his passengers get off. Just stay on the goddamn boat, there could be anything there. So yeah, I hear you say a film like this needs a catalyst to get the plot moving, and yes, this attack does lead to InGen questioning Hammond's validity as chairman, but this just comes off as clumsy and clunky. So we cut to... Oh Jesus, not this cut again, not this cut. This thing haunted my fucking childhood. See what I mean about stupid? Who in their right mind thought that this was the best way to introduce our main character? Not only is it an awful and potentially confusing transition for the audience, but we open on Malcolm yawning of all things. Yeah kids, we're in for a fun ride right after my nap. Now, having Jeff Goldblum return as the sexy chaotician Ian Malcolm seemed like a kind of obvious if uninspired choice, but where are Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler? Not even a fucking mention. And Malcolm isn't even related to dinosaurs in any way. He was more of a tag-along really, who just served to say I told you so. And he was great in that role. He complemented the ensemble cast very well with his quirky personality and Goldblumisms.
Hello? Hello?
But as the action hero to carry the whole film, he really doesn't seem to cut it. And I'm both criticising the book and the film in this regard, so I'm not going to hold it against Stephen. So we find out after the events of the first Jurassic Park that Ian Malcolm broke his non-disclosure agreement with InGen and went to the press with his story. This in turn tarnished both his career and his name. And surprise surprise, you guessed it, we are just told this, not shown this. Were they under some obligation from dinosaur acting unions to skip all the build-up? And not that you could pick up on any of this anyway. The expository dialogue in this scene is spoken so quietly and quickly that a lot of the time I'll have to put the subtitles on just to make out what they're saying.
You signed a non-disclosure agreement before you went to the island that expressly forbade you from discussing anything you saw.
So not only is this back and forth between our hero and villain, oh yeah, by the way, this intimidating figure is our villain folks, cower in fear from his tiny frame and shrill voice.
Dr. Malcolm!
But it's also presented to us in a flat medium shot in a dull, poorly lit location. Come on Stephen, you made Minority Report and Munich, you're way better than this. So by this point we've had boring chit chat and one mild injury. We're clearly in for a bumpy ride here kids. Compare these two scenes with the first Jurassic Park. Now this is going to be the first of many comparisons between the two, so you better get used to it. Here we both have an opening horror type kill scene, one good and one shit, that creates the movie's catalyst for action. In the first, we have the iconic dinosaur attack scene on the worker before the park opens. Not only does this establish the dark tone of the film, but the tension it creates gives us that vital breathing room, that chance to relax in the first act of the film, you know, to allow us to get to know characters. Then we can get to the flesh tearing. Then we have the obligatory exposition scene with Gennaro the lawyer, which, while again creating mystery, explains to the audience what's going on and why. Also, we have the amber in this scene, which creates the visual motif for the film. Now, I know it's more than obvious when I say that the nature of the beast with sequels is that you cannot create the same tension as the first. We've seen the dinosaurs, we've seen them eat people. But don't treat us like we don't need a bit of class or suspense. You know, you could give the audience a bit more credit. Take Alien 2 for example. It's over an hour before we even see a xenomorph. Bet you didn't think it took that long to get there, did you? Now, as I mentioned before, this is our main villain, Peter Ludlow, a nephew of Hammond's and a real pain in my arse.
Careful.
Because his inclusion in the story really doesn't do anything to delve into the main themes of the story. But to me, he always came off too strong as that cartoony rich villain asshole that was easy to hate and nothing more. When Hammond was the human antagonist from the first film, yes, he was reckless, yes, he got people killed, but he was a lot more human. He was charming, likeable, and you really got the sense that he believed in what he was doing rather than just chasing the quarterly financial report. This made his character a lot more memorable, and the contrast between the two is glaring. We should be asking ourselves as audience members who is the greater monster, the dinosaurs or us, rather than the time-tested, oh, the big bad profit hunter's bad. So after Spielberg pays for these two brats' college tuitions by shoehorning them in,
like, why are they happy to see him? I know he sacrificed himself for them and everything, but it's just a bit strange how happy they are. Hey, do you remember that time we almost died? Anyway, on to the obligatory Hammond scene.
a shadow of his former self, Hammond reveals to Malcolm that his on-again, off-again girlfriend has gone to Site B to study the dinosaurs that now freely roam there. Now, while it's always a joy to see Richard Hammond again on screen, he is woefully underused in this film and is an extended cameo at best. Even Malcolm jokes at the character's drastic shift in views.
So you went from capitalist to naturalist in just 4 years.
And the fact that the new Hammond is still doing the same old shtick really invalidates his character development from the last film, which in turn gives this film a very going with the motions feel. So Malcolm storms off to meet the rest of the supporting cast, and here's where things once again get a bit sketchy. It's here where the film begins to drift into the realm of the unbelievable.
Okay, I'm not seeing the obvious crack team of specialists you would send on this mission. Where are they? Even the third movie tried to give us this. It failed, but it tried. Hammond said he wasn't making the same mistakes again. Look at him, he's making the same mistakes. Again!
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
But instead we have another ragtag team going in instead. So what reason is there for sending in Vince Vaughn and this guy, rather than a bunch of guys with guns that could just protect Malcolm? Oh wait, there is none. Hey, get off your ass and make some sense, Kep. I mean, this would kill the tension.
I mean, it's not like all the men being sent by InGen have guns or anything. Oh wait, they fucking all do. This is completely ridiculous. Give me my pound of flesh, movie. These guys are all armed to the teeth, and what do when the action starts? They all start running. Why do I have to resort back to this same old shit? Oh, and don't give me that, oh, they were all scared so they started running. Look what happens in Peter Jackson's King Kong. Bam! And that thing's way bigger than a T-Rex. Don't introduce an element you can't justify in the story, Kep. Though, I gotta admit, this little payoff is so cool. Aw, you the man, Pete.
Oh yeah, and that dart rifle that never gets used? Chekhov's gun, anyone? Now, even as a child, it always kind of bothered me that after 3 movies, we never actually got to see anyone shoot a dinosaur. This is where the game Dino Crisis 2 for the PS1 excelled. I mean, are there dinosaur activists stopping this kind of thing being shown? It can't be any more disturbing than this. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. And then we meet the kid. Spielberg, why'd you always have to force in a child into so many of your action films? The film would have done just fine with an all-adult cast, But no, we have some little brat just so the kiddies have someone to root for. So what? Kids don't watch movies without kids in them? Bullshit. When I was a kid, I never pretended when I was running around that I was Tim or Lex. I always ran around pretending to be someone cool like Grant or Malcolm or even Muldoon. You know, someone who could kick a little ass. Now, while the kids in the first one do have their place being Hammond's grandkids, Malcolm's daughter Kelly just isn't needed. She's whiny, she falls over a lot, and she generally just bogs the picture down with her scenes. She doesn't even like dinosaurs to act like a vicarious vessel for the main demographic of the movie either. She just tags along to make sure Malcolm can't do anything cool like run more than a brisk pace, or violently shoot things in the face. The suave and sexy Malcolm from the first film that I loved is now dead. He's now been relegated to a lame duck dad with a lot less to offer an audience in the fun action romp. The leads in this film have zero chemistry whatsoever, leading to one of the most loveless parent-child relationships in Spielberg's career.
Dad, are you mad?
No, I'm not mad. I'm furious.
They just recite more things that happened off camera, including the entirety of the mother character, and we're just supposed to believe that they care about each other. But you know, maybe they have an arc, maybe something happens that builds up their relationship. Nah. What we do get, however, is one off-the-cuff reference to her being cut from the gymnastics team, and then later, that very week conveniently, using said gymnastic skills and, I'm not kidding here, spoilers, swings on a random pole and kicks a velociraptor through a wall onto a spike. Again, suspension of disbelief.
The school cut you from the team?
But after they get back from the island, her uses become too few and the film just totally ditches her out. But, you know, I'm not going to hold that against them, but it is too little too late. We never see her again till the very end of the film, which time we've literally forgotten about her, and there's no real payoff for her and Malcolm's relationship, meaning that all she does really is bog down the world's most hurried opening act. But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, after a nice variation on the iconic helicopter scene from the first film, we finally get to the island. Maybe now that we're here, the film can finally find its groove. Not exactly.